Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So again, this is me trying to make more stuff, and I'm up to the point now of doing Waterfall, or rather redoing large portions of Waterfall. This is one of those things where, just like with Heartland, where I had to build the rest of Heartland, not only so I could actually have a version of Heartland available, but because I wanted to figure out what it would look like from the exterior of the core for one or two of the shots around there. I now need to complete Heartland, but to complete Heartland, I now need to get my head around Waterfall first. Waterfall needs to be redone, so I'm slowly redoing it and making it look really good, just like with the other areas. But I'm quickly noticing one thing yet again, that the map does not make sense. Or at least certain parts of it don't. So I'm going to show you how big Waterfall is, and you can have a laugh at me trying to wrap my head around this, because it's by far one of the biggest maps in Undertale, I think, looking at it at least. So we've got the entrance here. This is where the ice cave would have been, that was cut out from the game, that you can see in like cut content and stuff. There was concept art, I think, done by Temmie, but I want to include that just here. And then obviously the water goes around to the side here. We've got a little bit of like cave walls either side to establish some sort of like support for the ceiling. And then we get to Sans' sentry station, and we've got the secret door behind it, the first instance of an echo flower, and then we've got a dark void around here. Now, what I'm actually thinking of is, because of the way that this is done, pretty much a lot like the voids that we had in Heartland that were then covered with lava to make everything look good. The idea is I'm thinking of doing all this black void as water. It just makes sense having like giant chasms with water around here. I think the reason why it wasn't done in game is primarily to, one, make sure that everything wasn't purple or blue like the rest of the artwork, because that would just be a bit crazy trying to cross things here and having your eyes go cross-eyed with all the purple or the blue going on. And then also it kind of gives you that mysterious sort of effect where it's almost as if the rock faces go on forever and they just disappear into the darkness. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, we go through here, we go along this cliff, and then again, there's another waterfall here. There's a lot of waterfalls. I did start a drinking game on one of the other videos that got scrapped now because I got 20 minutes into it. And for some strange reason, when drawing it, I was like, I'll check my DMs, I'll come back. And when I came back, all the artwork was gone. So I scrapped that. But yeah, I was doing like a drinking game every time I say waterfall or draw it, because there's so many waterfalls in Waterfall. But yeah, we're gonna have this like stepped looking approach to everything, because there are so many of them. It's almost like all these cliff faces are inside of a giant set of chambers, and the waterfalls just come down through either the walls or the holes in the roof, or it's just they're stepped, so you've got like further geometry above at the moment. It's pretty crazy. A lot of this stuff as well, I'm going to have to separate into individual rooms and not have it as like one complete thing, because otherwise it would be absolutely ridiculous to try and render all the effects and stuff like that. It would just lag out like mad. Especially because the amount of detail I'm putting in this, because I want it to be as detailed as Heartland. So we've got, again, a pretty dark room. This is one thing that I was thinking about, and before I go any further, I'm like 4 minutes in the video. I should preface this by saying, like, look, this is more or less me doing a couple of statements of how big the level is, and then just thinking out loud for some of my ideas. I'm not having a good day today. I'm stammering and everything. So yeah, like for instance, in this area, we know it's kind of dark because the wall texture is inverted. It's just, it makes more sense that when we go through here, it's dark, and then we can see the crystals above that emulate stars in here. It makes sense that that room is incredibly dark and doesn't really have any mushrooms in it as well to light it up. And then we go through another cave into the marsh area, and this is where it gets interesting, right? Because we have, the way that this works is we have Undyne's chase here, where she first probably chases you across the marshland and the docks, or pier, if you want to say, like the wooden surface around here. She chases you, throwing spears at you, and then you get into the grass here. And this is where the map goes completely nuts, right? Because we have, down here we have a load of the crystals that start appearing and things like that to make the area look a little bit more like a mine. We've got like the instances of a mine shaft here, which look pretty cool. But we get to the marsh, and this is where it cuts off. And the reason why I say that is because if you follow the actual in-game map, as in like you go through all of Waterfall, pretty much how I'm going through now, you'll see it makes no sense. This is normally where the little bird or the tiny duck, whatever you want to call it, carries you across the small gap. But there's a slight bit of a problem with that, which you'll see. So you go through the marsh properly. This is all like a really dark area that's lit up by glowing water. This glowing water I've managed to get done now. I researched a little bit on bioluminescent water, primarily because I wanted something that still looked like water but glowed at the same time. So all we've got is like small, tiny glowing particles in the water to kind of emulate this while not just making it flat. Because you can't have something that's got emissive properties and normal maps and then try and make it look like water. It does not work. So glowing water in that sense, it just didn't look good when I tried it out. So the compromise is having small glowing particles in the water. But then this area is going to be cool because it's going to have that like dark, slightly ominous, mysterious look to it with little bits of like water ripples everywhere, projecting on the walls and different surfaces. Then we've got the echo flowers and the water sausages. And I want to try and have the water still look like water here, but also have the lily pads floating on top of it. I'm going to have to figure that out in Blender because at the moment I'm using ocean surfaces to simulate water. And I don't know how to then, at the moment, do lily pads that stay on top of the water surface. But after we've gone through the marsh here, this is where we get to the confusing bit. Because, as you can see, there's Onion Sand's cave area. But where this normally would go, which is Undyne's house, is just not there, right? If you follow it in-game, we go through Onion Sand's bit, including the bit with the dog shrine up there, to the statue, which means you're halfway through the game, if I remember rightly. And then we keep going, there's the umbrella there, and all the waterfalls here, along with all the puddles. We keep going all the way down. We get to the castle area, which, to be honest, with the way that this is, I've already thought up of an idea for this, because there's been many speculations as to whether this is Asgore's castle at the end of the game, whether that's actually New Home or not. And the answer I came up with is that it's going to be one of many castles they have. The idea being that I understand why that's there game-wise. It's to show where you're going or where you're progressing to. But the way that this works at the moment, it seemingly makes no sense. Like a lot of the game. So what I'm saying is it's one of many castles. So it's like we obviously have the ruins of the first city that the monsters built in Home. Then as we progress through, they go through Snowdin and Waterfall until they settle down in Waterfall for a little bit and build another castle here. And then that's what we see there. And then we eventually see, especially in the lore that it's detailed, that they eventually keep going through Hotland and get to the newest area where they've settled down, which is New Home. So yeah, I just figured that was one way of explaining that, is that they've been there at some point, and Asgore's used that as his castle at some point, but at the moment it goes empty and unused. But then we keep going here, and this is the bit with Undyne where she chases you again and stabs from underneath. I could not get a proper map of this place, so instead I've just got like a collision map. But as you see, this goes all over the place. It goes all the way down here. And then this is the point where she cuts the bridge and you end up falling into the trash dump. Now we keep going through the trash dump, all the way up. We fight Mad Dummy and we come over to Undyne's house, Nabstablook, and Metaton's house, the snail farm. We've also got the bird here. And that's more or less the rest of Waterfall, right? Is just going through the glowing area. There's Temmie Village. And then we get to the end, and this is where we get to see a shot of Hotland from Waterfall, because Undyne stood on these little rock formations here, and you can see a shot of Hotland. And to make that make sense, because apparently it's supposed to be a giant cave area or multiple different giant linking caves, we have to go back through and make all of this just so we get an idea of it in 3D space. And yeah, this is the entire map. When you zoom out, it is absolutely massive. And again, like I was saying before, this area here with the bird only goes 2 feet in the game, or a very short distance, and flies you back to over here. But when you look at it, it makes no sense because of the massive distance here. I have no clue how I'm going to do this yet, other than flipping this, because if I do like that and just flip that so it goes along and then comes down, then maybe I can get it to work. But I don't know at the moment. So I'm kind of just trying to figure that out and break things up and make as much sense as possible. And then obviously do it and make it look the best it can visually. But yeah, again, Toby and the art team are just really confusing me right now. I can see why other people that do like Unity maps of this, for like VR chat, I can see why people bring their own spin on it, because it is crazy trying to make sense of how this all lines up. Anyway, what do you guys think? I'll see you in the next one, and possibly in the comments section down below. I hope you've enjoyed me going crazy yet again, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!